Okay, so today's talk, we're going to have Martha talk about the technology solutions form. We have Tim with us today managing a Canvas course on a tablet. And then later on, we have Luis, who's going to talk about what does remote support look like at Trinity. And then Michelle Byrne will be with us to give us a quick look at Qualtrics. And then Kevin Hearn will be with us at the end to talk about cross-listing courses and extension requests in Canvas. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Martha so she can walk us through her presentation.
Well, hello, everyone. So my name is Martha Moreno. I am the Business Relationship Manager of ITS. And this is important because it's why you need to use this form. So it explains the form. So today I'm going to be talking about this. So this is the Technology Solutions Intake Form. So the point of this intake form is to have one place for everyone to use regarding ITS products or services request. So the technology solutions intake form will ask everyone to provide their name, provide their email, and provide a department. This form has three options. So you have an idea, a project, and a product request. So how to use this form? So the idea is a nice to have. So for example, your department would like to have a new display outside in the lobby, but maybe you don't have the funds yet, you don't know what kind of display you want, you just would like to have like a place to show content. Well, the idea is just an idea, right? So you just put it out there. It could possibly happen. It may not happen. It's just a nice to have. What's going to happen when you submit an idea is going to go to our BRM queue. So our business relationship management queue. We would reach out to you and ask you, what are you trying to accomplish? What is it that you are doing? What do you have? What do you need? Most likely is going to take two different directions. Either we have a way to support you, or we have something already available that you can use, or it goes into something bigger and it moves on to becoming a project, or it becomes a product request. But let's say you have a wild idea, you don't know where to start, but you think it's going to include some type of technology, submit an idea for us. We'll reach out to you, we'll confirm it, we'll work with you to try to figure out what this solution is going to be. For projects, it's something a little bit bigger. Let's say you want to implement a new software in your area, or you want to develop a program in your area that's going to require substantial work from IT. That's where you would submit a project. So something that's going to take several departments. It's going to include, a long period of time. So you would put a project request. A project request is going to give you access to a few more things. So if you have a sponsor, description of the project, what's the outcome going to be for the project, what benefits the project will bring, and it's special instructions. So there's a vendor that's going to be included, and then we will need a proposed start date and a proposed implementation date. This is important because we are working on other projects, so we need to ensure that we're able to work on your project at the same time as covering the rest of the projects we already have on hand. We would need the estimated cost and who is funding the project. Also, if you're going to have vendor employees on campus, is this type of like security. Also, for a data assessment, we would need to know if you're going to be providing confidential information or personal information to the vendor. And then if you already have a contract, you can submit it here. So now let's say you have a product request. A product request is more of a software. So you need a software for your department. This is where this would come in. All software submitted for approval is going to go through a data security assessment just to ensure that it does fit into what is required for us from our insurance, and that is safe for us to use on campus. That's going to include the product name, again, the benefits, when do you need the product by, what is the cost, if there's an auto renewal for it, again, personal information, if it's a new software, if it's replacing a current software, And again, you can take any other documents like a contract if you have there. In terms of the project, we do have, let me show you. We do have two committees that approve the projects. Both of these committees include people from outside of ITS. They include people from different areas. So even though they are ITS committees, we use other people from different areas of campus to actually make the approval. And these committees are the ones that decide what products and services are actually going to become part of the portfolio for the university. Other than that, I don't, other than that, you wouldn't need to do anything else. We would reach out to you, either Art or myself will reach out to you to approve or have questions or inform you if it was a denial from the committee. But yes, that's pretty much what our technology solutions intake form is. It's for faculty and staff. And then if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to respond. And if not, you can reach out to me later and I can also email you back.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Tim to show us how he manages his course via tablet. So feel free to take over, Tim.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let me just get set up here, my camera. Thank you, Marina, for the invitation and for helping me get set up with it's a real Canvas site. It's the Canvas site for my upper level Latin seminar, but she kindly added some false student work so that I could show it to you all and show you how I've incorporated an iPad into my Canvas grading. My students would laugh if they knew I was giving a Canvas presentation right now because I have been very much a novice this semester. This is my first semester using Canvas. So I do not at all feel like an expert. I will just show you what I do and how it works for me, and I hope to learn from others in the room about how to use it even better. So let me share, if I can. Yeah, great. Okay, it's working. I'll share with you how I use grading, in particular grading student work on the iPad, which I've found just revolutionary for not collecting papers and keeping all of your assignments in one place. I did this a bit on T-Learn and I found it very clunky and annoying. So kudos to Kevin and Marina and all of ITS for shifting over to Canvas because it's made this a lot easier. So if you call up a class on Canvas, here's my Latin class, right? And you click on assignments, you'll see your various assignments and how many of them need grading, right? So actually I'm a little bit behind on an assignment they turned in yesterday, or on Tuesday rather, that needs grading. So this is the assignment here where Martha has kindly uploaded some papers. You'll see that there were 5 students who submitted papers and all 5 need grading. So you can click on need grading, and then these are all the submissions that you have as papers for the course. So if I click on, say one of these, and I love that that Marina used lorem ipsum for this these fake papers, because that is actually sort of wonky Latin, so I can actually correct it and it's relevant to the course content. So what I mostly use, honestly, is this, that you see all these icons up here, and there's lots of things you can do in using an Apple Pencil and grading. If you click this strike through thing, for instance, you can cross things out, remove it by hitting the back button. You can highlight in whatever color you want, right? Using the highlight feature. The one I honestly mainly use is this little paintbrush here. Again, you can choose your color and your thickness. And so you can write comments as you would on a paper on, various things, right? Not Latin, and so forth, right? And so you can go through, write your comments throughout, use your finger to push it through. And if you want, writing your comments there at the end, or in another way, which I'll show you in a second. There are other neat features that I haven't used as much. So for instance, you could use the fact that you have these little comment buttons, for instance. And one thing that's potentially neat about this, when a comment button pops up, you can either type, write words in it. And it will convert them to regular text, or you can even play around with using the microphone button on the iPad. That is a great comment. And then submit that as a comment, right? So you can, still recording myself. So there's lots of different things you can play with in these various comment features. You can trash your comments and so on, and that's going to show up as that little comment there. I don't use it as much because it feels, I don't know, too minor to me. Like, I don't think students would notice that, but other people might use that feature. The last thing I'll show you before I show you one last thing about how I grade papers using an iPad, there are kind of two different views you can have of your paper. So if you shift it over to, oops, I guess this would be a landscape view. When it calls up the paper, you've still got all these features here where you can write on the paper as before, but on the right now you have extra stuff. So you can compute the grade this way, dragging with this drag on. You can check out this comments section, right, and write your comments there, or do them by voice as I just did in the example. And if for some reason students had submitted more than one thing on for this assignment, you could toggle between the different submissions there on the right. The last thing that I've done, and other people, may find this extraneous, but I have found I don't have a particularly good keyboard for my iPad right now, and my sort of method for grading papers when they were turned in physically was to do this, right? To write sort of comments all throughout, reactions, corrections, etc. And then at the end to write a long sort of paragraph explaining what I thought they did well, what I think they could do better, and assigning them their grade. You can easily do that using this comment box here. And as I showed you before, you can write with the Apple Pencil. It'll convert it to type, or you could even press on this and use the typewriter there. What I have found is I've actually sort of shifted to using my, and this is a bit weird, but I've kind of used my computer at the same time, my laptop, as I'm grading often, so that I will be able to call up the, let me just take a second to call up the assignment here. And of course, SpeedGrader looks a little different on the laptop. So if I call up that same paper, you'll see eventually it'll load here, and you'll see the comments I've been making there. And I sometimes will call up both at the same time, and I'll put the comment box here, and I can type just really fast on my laptop. So I've actually gone back and forth sometimes and used both to grade at the same time, and it works very well. There's a slight lag in how it loads the written comments from the iPad, but it works pretty well. So that's another feature I wanted to show you that I use. Okay. The last thing I'll say, again, is just big thanks to everyone at ITS, but especially Marina and Kevin for all the work they've done getting us going on Canvas. It's been a learning curve for sure for me this semester, but I've really been enjoying it, and I think it's made the lives of my students easier. So thank you for all your work you've put into it, and I will gladly take any questions.
I don't have a question, but just a comment. I totally agree that the flags, the little place markers, are not always useful when you're grading an assignment, except sometimes when the student is going to download the assignment and work on it again, like if it's a rough draft or something, the flags download as comments to Acrobat and Word.
Oh, that's
So
helpful.
if they're going to be working on it again later, the flags are easier to see on a downloaded document versus the writing, because they can approve them or accept them. And so if it's something they're going to work on again, the flags might be easier to manage with them long term.
Oh, that's helpful to know. I didn't realize that. I realized one thing I didn't mention for any faculty who view this later, or any teachers who are using this feature. It is sort of best practice to tell your students, obviously, to double space their submission. I tell them, I actually restrict it so they have to upload a PDF, which is easy enough to do when you make the assignment. And I just have to tell them verbally to make sure they double space it so I have room to make comments and that kind of thing.
That's a good tip. Yeah. Any questions for Tim? All right, I'm going to go ahead and pass this on. I believe Luis is next.
Oh, okay. Hello, hi. My name is Luis Forestier, and I am part of the technical support group here in ITS. We are the people who take your phone calls and also go out and fix things across campus. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about remote support. Now, what is remote support? It's the tool that we use to connect to your computer so that we could help see what's wrong with it and also help fix it. Why do we use it? Because in an ideal world, we would have 100 people waiting for your call and ready to run by your desktop, by your office, by your cubicle, and help you out in person. We don't have the 100 people waiting around for that. So what we need to do is find a way to help you out in the most efficient manner possible, because there are other people also waiting to be helped. With remote support, we don't have to jump on a golf cart, go all the way to one building, help somebody out, jump back into the golf cart, go to another building, and all that traveling takes time. And also it disrupts your work, because then we would have to follow a less strict schedule, because it depending on the time it takes us to get to your office. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to show you how we actually help you out. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so when we're talking to you on the telephone and we decide that we could help you remotely, we'll actually ask you for your username, or if we already know, we'll go ahead and type it in, and we will see your computer. Right now, I'm going to go and connect to a Windows computer, a Dell computer. That's for a member of my team, Sean. Thank you, Sean, for allowing me to connect your computer. So we look him up. We see that he has a computer. He's connected. There's a couple of different options that we have. So one of them is to chat with him, right? And say, tell him, I'm going to connect to your computer. Let me do that. Normally, we're already on the phone with you when we do this. It's important to let you know that we do not connect to your computer if you're not in front of your computer. Okay. Now, why do we use our remote tool? Because not only we get to help you quickly, but we also are able to use all the tools we have on our computers to help you out. Now, here's what our users are seeing, the people we're helping. That screen on the bottom is of Sean's desktop. So when I chat to him, he'll see that screen, he'll see the message, and I could connect with his computer to actually see. I'll click here and connect to it. And Sean will, I'll have to put in my credentials because the system will keep track of who connects to what. We value your security. We don't want people to be connecting and not knowing who's connecting to your computer, right? So in this case, it asks you for a connection and you will have to approve it. And then once that happens, we are looking at your computer. And depending on the issues you're reporting, we'll go change settings, we'll install programs, whatever you need to do. This minimizes your disruptions. It also helps your privacy because we cannot go into places that you are not allowing us to go to. Now I've disconnected, and this works the same way on whether you're on a Windows computer or a Mac computer. Right now we're seeing the screen of a Mac computer, and you'll see the same kind of screen. And if you're not talking to me on the phone, feel free to click on reject. That's of course only our team has that ability, our ITS team. So, and I'm not gonna, let me stop sharing my screen because basically it's the same thing. We connect to your computer. We look at the issues. The difference between that and trying to troubleshoot something on the phone is that we don't spend a lot of time telling, click onto this button, read me what it says, tell me this and that. We actually are like physically next to you, even though it's virtual, right? We try to help you with a more real world experience. One of the things that we've found out with our remote tools is that it allows us to do a lot more in a quicker manner. So if we have 15 people waiting to get the software installed, we could do this quickly as opposed to going to each desk and having to wait till the installation finishes. So we could do multiple people at the same time and help them out. We tend to try to limit that so that everyone has our full attention, but in times of need, we'll do as much as we can to help you out. Another thing I wanted to mention is that all these sessions, they're encrypted and secure. So there's virtually no easy ways for someone to get in between and impersonate us or try to connect to your computer in this manner. And what we're typing in there, let's say we have to put in our passwords, they're not out there in the public. And this is just one of many tools we use to help you out, to give you quicker service, because we're here to provide that service so you could continue using your computer resources without delay. And that's basically what I have right now. Do we have any questions on how we use this, or how this, any questions on the technology?
All right, I have Michelle Byrne with us up next. Give you a quick look at Qualtrics. Go ahead and take it away.
All right, let me share my screen here. There we go. Okay, got it. So Qualtrics is a software that we have a license for that you can do surveying, but there's a lot of different ways that people use it, not just for surveys. So I just wanted to, I'm giving you a very high level view of this. And this is just to know what's possible. If this is something you're interested in using and you feel intimidated by it, please just email me. Marina is also a good one to email, and we can walk you through getting started. But this is just so that you know what's out there and what's possible. So let's just talk about why you would even pick Qualtrics in the first place. One of the best reasons that I found is that you can put information in about your respondents. So let's say I want to send out an email to all faculty and staff. And instead of asking each person to indicate on the survey, are you faculty or staff, I can have that information embedded into my contact list that I'm sending it to. And then when I get the results in, I can separate that out, faculty and staff separately. So you can do that with a lot of different categories of data if you have that for your respondents. So that just helps, you know, if you want to look at things by gender, by race, ethnicity, you can embed that in, and it makes the survey shorter and easier for your respondents. Qualtrics has a wider array of question types than if you've used Google Forms or something like that. There's just a lot more possibilities in Qualtrics. There's more robust reporting. The analysis capabilities are great because, like I said, you can do that embedded data. You can also do comparisons. That's crosstabs. So I can look at how staff might answer a question, and I can look at how faculty might answer a question. So you can do those comparisons in a crosstab. Text IQ is a way of, if you have an open comment box, you know, like, please tell us if there's anything else we could do, you know, to make things better, and people are allowed to type something. Text IQ is built into Qualtrics, so you can start tagging, like, you know, we'd like better dining, or we like more coffee on campus, or something like that. Like, how many people are saying those things? There's a wide variety of visualizations also that you can play with. It's a Trinity branded template. So if you, like, if we are sending something, for example, to students, and we want to make sure that they know this is from Trinity, this is a survey that they can trust, you have that. It's very easy to collaborate. You can share surveys with each other, so people can see the data. You can give them different permissions of what they can do, but they can see the data. They can edit the survey. If you're working with somebody else on a survey, sometimes, you know, it can be really difficult if it's Google Forms or something to get the right amount of collaboration. You can transfer surveys from one owner to the other, which is really nice. I've done that quite a few times, where somebody was here, they had a great survey, that person left, and now I can just literally transfer ownership of all of that in the history of that survey over to somebody else. Their tech support is fantastic. So I always like it when people ask me questions about about Qualtrics, and people think I know more than I do, but I don't. I just know how to text Qualtrics and ask them the questions, and so I learn a lot. So, but you can also text Qualtrics and ask them questions. Their tech support is really good, and it helps you improve your survey skills because there is so much capability in here. It makes you think about the kinds of questions that you're doing, and it makes you think about how you're presenting the data that you have a little bit differently than I found with some of the more simplified tools like a Google Forms. So I'm just going to give some different ways that people have used Qualtrics, obviously for surveys. Some people have done it for event evaluations, maybe like a pre and post test kind of thing, if you've got a student group coming in to do something. An event RSV, super easy. The nice thing is you can send out a reminder only to those people who haven't responded yet, which is different than if you're in a Google form. Candidate evaluations. So there's a wide variety. Sometimes we think just survey, but there's a wide variety of things that you can use Qualtrics for. Just some basic questions before you get started when you're thinking about a survey in particular. One is just ask yourself, do you need this survey? You know, a lot of times we kind of, oh, let's do a survey. But think about first, do we really need it? Contact my office, ir@trinity.com or trinity.edu, and ask us, do we know if there's a survey that has already been done, or do we have this data somewhere else? So think about whether or not you really need to do one. get really clear on what the purpose of your survey is. Who do you want to have take your survey? Sometimes people will be like, oh, I want to send it to, all employees, but maybe it's okay if we do a sample. Maybe we do, a 10% sample of each kind of employee group or something. So, really being careful that we're not sending out too many surveys. And then when should I send my survey? Another really important reason to contact my office is because the more surveys I know that are going on campus, the more I can help you get the best data. So if you're starting a survey right after, we've got a student satisfaction, for example, happening right now. If you were to try to do a survey of students right now, it would confuse both the data for the student satisfaction and then probably for your student survey also. So if you contact my office, it's just to let you know what's a good time for things. Particularly when you're thinking about students, please know this, that we did a quick analysis of the kind of surveys that we've got going. An average number of surveys for the 2024 cohort, the students who started this semester, over 4 years, it's a minimum of 24 and a maximum of 44. So students get surveyed quite a bit. So just double check. It's not to say that we can't do it, but that's why it's important to check with our office to see what's going on, and maybe we have that data somewhere else. So all that said, and you want to jump into Qualtrics, it's super easy to find. You just go to qualtrics.com. Let's hope that this transfers me over. So there it is. And then I just go to login. If you go to login, if you've had a Qualtrics account and you know your password, that's great. If you had one in the past, but you don't remember your password, you can do a password reset. If you don't have a Qualtrics account, just email me and I can set one up for you. And then I send you a password reset email. And you can, we'll get you going right away. So when you log in, you get this dashboard and it says what your current surveys are. It will list them all down here, right? So you can just kind of see what you're working on, right? These are my active surveys. If I wanted to start a new project, it's down here on the left and you just do create new project. They've got some templates, but they're usually kind of more businessy, I guess I would say. So depending on the purpose of your survey, you can just do from scratch, or they've got some guided projects that you can work with. But let's just jump into a survey and I can show you the kind of questions that you can, different types of questions that you can ask. And these are, I'm just going to go over a few so that you can see just some options. So the first one isn't really a question, actually. It's just the intro. So it's a text only. You can also upload an image here so that when somebody opens up the survey, they might see a picture of Trinity or of the school that they're part of, or maybe it's, of a class. So whatever that might be. But you can put an image there, something like that. Kind of think of that as the landing page. Then you can do, the classic multiple choice, which is nice. And you can tell, I'll put this here, it's what kind of question it is because you have your options over here on the left. So I click, I can make this multiple choice. I can do text entry, meaning you're giving somebody the space to make a comment. You can do a matrix table. I'll show you some of those. But that's where you find out what kind of question that you want to have. If I want to allow multiple answers, so maybe somebody has all 3 of these reasons why they want to come, you can do that. Or you can click it and allow just one answer, right? So you can do that. You can decide how many choices you want them to have, all different kinds of things. You can add a requirement where you make them answer that question, right? So that's really kind of how the question builders work. So there's a multiple choice. Here's kind of a matrix table. So you can ask them to evaluate different things according to a scale. Right? What chips do you prefer? This is a text box so they can comment on it. You can do a slider, whatever other events need SACs, right? So they can indicate that way, keep your survey a little more interactive, right? So it's basically, that's basically what the what the questions look like. And it's really fun to just kind of play around with them. There's a lot more different types, but you get the idea. When you want to see, once you get your survey out there and you start looking at responses, then you can go to the results tab, and this is where you can do some visualizations. So you can do a horizontal stacked bar. So that looks real nice. You can, I know we've got some down here. You can do a vertical stacked bar like this. What are people saying about these things? And all of these things are customizable. You can change the color. Here I have it by percent, but you could also have a count, you know, if 10 people said this, so you could put a count instead of a percent there. You can change whether these are going vertical or horizontal. You have just a table. So there's just a wide variety of visualizations in there. You can share your report. You can download it as a PDF or a Word document. You can download it as a PowerPoint. So there's lots of ways that you can get the data out of, or the information and the visuals out of Qualtrics. And I'll just go quickly here into data and analysis and show you on the data side, this is what responses look like. So it's kind of a spreadsheet view of what the responses look like. So if you don't want to look at the visualization, but you want to look at what the different responses are, you can go through and make sure, you know, does this look like the right answers? Does it look like, if I want to look at this one particular response, I can view that, right? So you can see how each person responded. And then to send out your survey, you've got several options for that also. You can send it through an email if you've got a contact list. You can send an anonymous link, so you can just put it, it'll generate a link and you can send that link in an email to multiple people. If you do that, it's all anonymous, but then people can share it. You can do a QR code. So if you want to do something and have it printed on a flyer or send it up in a digital message, you can do it that way. You can do text messages. We don't do that very often, but the options are there. So you have a lot of distribution options when you're doing Qualtrics, which is really nice also. And I think that's really the biggest, those are the biggest things to know about this. But I would say really the biggest thing to know about it is that if you're interested in doing it, I know it can feel like a lot when you log in and it's suddenly, there's a lot of options and a lot of possibilities. But I know Marina and I are both willing to work with you to get you started on it, get you exploring it. It's something that is available to all faculty, staff, and students. So we have this campus-wide, and it's a great resource to be using. So happy to answer questions.
And our last presenter, Kevin, you are up to talk about Canvas cross-listing and extended requests.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, I'm Kevin Hearn. I'm the manager of academic technology at ITS. Definitely the last and the least presenter today, for sure. But I'm gonna talk about what a cross-listed course is, how to get a cross-listed course, and the benefits that you can get from it, and also talk about how to extend a course past the normal term in case you have a student with an incomplete or somebody who needs that content later on, or needs their course content later on. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here just real quick to show you what this looks like. Great. So I have this test course that I have open. This is just a regular course that I made. And so when you get a cross-listed course, what a cross-listed course means, it's similar to a meta course from T-Learn. It's when you combine multiple sections of a course together so that you don't have to manage multiple courses at the same time. So for example, if you teach underwater basket weaving, super popular course, if you teach 3 sections of it in a semester, maybe you don't want to have 3 separate courses in Canvas where you have to make announcements and post quizzes and do grading. It would be really convenient to combine that in one course so that you can manage it just in one place. And so that's what a cross-listed course lets you do. And so, for example, if I go to the People tab in this course, this is my test course. I'm going to see that in here, there's no one here. Oh, that's right. No one in this course. But if I go to settings, I'm going to see that in this course specifically, there are 3 different sections in this course combined. So if I was teaching my 3 sections of underwater basket weaving, all 3 of them would appear here. And in the People tab, I would see all of my students together so that I could manage the Canvas course separately. Now, I know that gives some people some consternation. You know, what about different assignment times, different quiz times? Canvas absolutely lets you customize all of that, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So first, how do you get a cross-listed course? So it's really important to know this is something you have to do before students start doing work in your course. If you wait until after work has been submitted, we are not able to cross-list a course for you. There's actually a really convenient form for you to fill out. So if you go over here to the help menu on the bottom left corner of Canvas, you're going to click on request a cross-listed course here. If you click on this link, this will open up a form, and this will be sent to our academic technology team with your name, the semester, the name of the course, all the details, and then we will cross-list it for you, normally within 24 hours. So it's not too big of a deal. We just do them as a batch whenever we get them in. And so just please request that at any point before students have submitted work, and we will get to work on that right away. Now, there are a lot of faculty who are very concerned about due dates, and I have this class that meets at 11 o'clock, but this one meets at noon. How do I manage that in Canvas? It's really easy. Let me show you with a sample assignment. So I'm going to go to Canvas. I'm going to make an assignment real quick. I'm just going to call it sample 1, just because that's how I roll. If I spelled it right, that would help. I'm going to scroll all the way down here, and I'm going to go to assign to. Everyone is the default, so everyone will get it at the same date and time. But notice I can click in this box, and it will let me choose my section. So maybe I want section 1 to get it on Saturday until Sunday. And then if I click assign to again, it will let me choose another. So maybe I want section 2 to get it from, I don't know, Sunday to Monday. I don't know. And you can do the same date and just a different time. All that's perfectly fine. But this is, and then you can save. Notice that not everyone was assigned it, so I didn't give it to section 3 at all. That's perfectly okay. I can continue. Oh, for sure. And then now I will have an assignment with multiple due dates and multiple times. So quizzes, assignments, everything can either be shown or pre-selected so that students will get it at their selected class time. So that's the value of cross-listing a course. The same thing goes for announcements. If you have an announcement for this course and you want to send, maybe you don't have class today at the end of the day, maybe hypothetically, maybe the internet went out at like 1 o'clock and you are going to cancel class because you have no way to get to your students. You can click plus announcement. You can do your announcement, and then notice here also post to all sections. You also have your sections here below. So you can choose whatever the Canvas content is. You can select who sees it, if it's everyone or only one section or 2 sections, and then you can grade like that. You can do anything that you want to do to make your life easier. This is all about making your life a little bit easier and helping you to manage the Canvas course as it goes. Now, this is great, and this is something that we did about 100 of these this fall. So that's a significant proportion of people who are using Canvas at Trinity. So you're well within, your rights to ask for it and use it because it's a very, very popular feature. If you ever have any questions or concerns about this, please feel free to email academictechnology@trinity.edu, and we will absolutely answer any questions that you have. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is a course extension. And so a course extension is maybe you have a student who has a registered incomplete. You filled out their grades at the end of the semester. They got an incomplete for whatever reason. I think the academic affairs normally gives them a year or so, like to finish it and within whatever time frame. And so now you were using Canvas and you want to give them Canvas access to finish out their assignments, do whatever they needed to do, and you're like, now what? So for this, please email academictechnology@trinity.edu, and we will set this up for you and your student. I want to show you what it will look like. So if you go to people, you're going to see this a little bit here. Here is our test student. And so notice that this test student is a part of the main course, and he's also a part of section 1. So section 1 was the normal course in this class. But I'm going to go ahead and change his section. This is what we would do for you on the back end. I take them out of section 1, and I'm going to put them in section 1.1. So if you see a course or section in Canvas that has a 0.1 or a 0.2, that is a student who has had a course extension through whatever date and time you asked for. So if you wanted them to have 6 months extra or 3 months extra, we would set that up for you. It takes a little bit of work on the back end to set up. We will get it going for you, and then they'll have access to it as long as you need. If they need longer than you originally asked for, just please send us an email, let us know, and we will extend the course out so that the student has access to it as long as they need it. So again, it's really simple. It's not hard at all. This is in no way meant to supplant what you do with academic affairs. You obviously need to do an incomplete with them, and then we would just help you on the Canvas side if the student needed access to the Canvas materials, assignments, quizzes, whatever that you had in the course as you were working on it. So we wanted to share both of these things with faculty because these are questions we get asked all the time, and we want to make sure that if you do want to know how to do them, that we are here to help you with that. So let us know however we can help, and we absolutely will. You can also extend a course out if a student needs access to their work for another reason, not an incomplete. Maybe you want them to have access to their materials or something they did in your course. By default, Canvas courses are hidden from students after the end of the term, so end of the semester, so that they can't, go back there and look at the quizzes that they had or anything like that. So if you ever want a student to have access to their work again, we can absolutely do that as well, and that way they can have it. So wanted to make this very short and sweet, but hopefully informative so that y'all knew what to do. Does anybody have any questions about what this looks like or how to set it up or what you should do? Awesome. Well, thank y'all so much. It was a pleasure to speak to you today. Thank you for Marina for having me on, and let us know if you ever need any help.
And if you want to be part of the discussion, feel free to reach out to us if you have a topic that you want to present on or a technology tool that we're not aware of that we have on campus. Feel free to reach out to myself or Martha and let us know that you want to give us a quick 10-minute talk about it. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and send us off. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you all hopefully next week.